Takes a second here. Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy Kevin, who you've seen on this podcast. Though this is probably your fifth episode with me so far.
Fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
One
Usually
of those.
when there's like
Actually no, fifth, yeah, because we did I was on one of the first ones where we made our dream set list. Then I did What About Now, the last the second disc of the Greatest Hits album, Omaha, and yeah, it's my fifth time. It's great to be back.
So anyway, when we talk about a really important subject, I always have Kevin come on because we just have really good chats on the phone about this all the time. So, but before we get into our fun subject today, this is going to be the last video of the year, and then more videos will come in January of 23. But I wanted to say thank you for everyone that comes on and either watches on YouTube or listens on Apple Podcast. I am working on getting on Spotify, but I just want to say I'm sincerely thankful that everyone takes the time to listen to these. You know, it's a lot of fun talking with other die-hard Bon Jovi fans and just kind of talking about our love for the band. So I wanted to share my sincere thank you for watching these. And next year it'll be the third year of these podcasts, so I'm glad that they're continuing. So, but anyway, so our subject today is going to be a fun one, and I wanted to do this like back in October, but I thought, you know what, I want the last video of the year to be about next year. So we are going to talk about 2023 in Bon Jovi land. Now, before we get into it, I want to make it very clear, these are just hypothetics between one fan to another. It's not saying, we're not saying this is going to happen or that's going to happen. This is pretty much just hypothetics, what we're hoping for, what we think is going to happen, what may not happen. So again, hypothetics here. So anyway, so what's that?
Don't get too excited, guys. We're just a couple of crazy fans. Nothing more, nothing less.
Crazy fans that are excited for next year, because next year, 2023, is going to be the band's 40th anniversary of when they became a band. Now, it won't be until 24 until they've released their first album, which was the debut album. But technically, the celebration starts next year. And I think the best way to kind of start this off is, you know, a few weeks ago, the JBJ Experience, John did a Q&A, and a fan had asked him about new music, and he had said he wrote about 5 or 6 new songs, and he's also working on a few collaborations. So, and he said, if my memory serves me correctly, he also said that he felt really good about the songs. He was kind of mid into the songs, you know, writing and recording it. And he thinks it's good material to start off a new album or something. He worded something like that. So I do have a feeling that we may get a new album either at the end of next year or even 24.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be in 24 if we get that album. Rather, when we get that album, because it's going to happen. Because if they're going to do, like John said, the box set next year in the spring, then, you know, they're not going to put out another record later that year. That just doesn't make sense from a chronological perspective. So, you know, we might get it, you know, spring or fall of next year. Either one of those. And then probably maybe spring with a tour attached to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And I'm wondering what the collaborations could be. If these collaborations are for future Bon Jovi, or if he is actually just working with another artist on something. You know, he didn't really kind of elaborate on that. He just said he was working on collaborations with other artists. But
he said with other artists, or did he say with other songwriters?
I can't remember. You know, I only got to see it happen, him say it once, and that was during the live chat. So, like I said, you know, don't take it word for word. But he did say collaboration. Now, whether that was with songwriters or other, I am pretty sure he said other artists, because I heard, because I automatically thought in my head, oh, please let it be Taylor Swift. That
could be cool. They could do. They could definitely do something. I know artists write with each other all the time. What I'm thinking he meant by that is with maybe like with John Shanks and Billy Falcon, which is his usual team.
Which, and that brings me to another point too, is like I really, really, I love Shanks. I do. I also appreciate Billy Falcon, but I really think it's time we get a new producer. I think it's time we get some new fresh songwriters into this. Like I know Luke Evans doesn't do it anymore, but like he produced Crush and Bounce. It'd be nice to see him back in the mix. Just get someone fresh. We need a fresh sound and.
Oh, I've always said that.
And don't get me wrong, Shanks is great, and he was really good on Have a Nice Day, Lost Highway, The Circle. But I think with What About Now, even though I love those albums, What About Now and This House in 2020, there's a lot of repetitiveness, I think, and there wasn't really anything fresh that Shanks was really offering producer wise.
Exactly. And I do love Shanks. I've had a couple of really great conversations.
Yeah, he's
with
a good
him.
guy.
He's awesome. I love the story that he told me and you about fingerprints. I think that's a pretty cool story. But Have a Nice Day, Lost Highway, The Circle. What About Now? We can even count Burning Bridges, This House in 2020. 6 or 7 albums with the same producer. That's about half of their discography at this point. Yeah. And I don't know, like I would love to have John collaborate with an artist like Rob Thomas, for example, who's written amazing songs, aside of Matchbox 20 and his solo career. He's written with plenty of other artists. And it would just be cool to see them collaborate because they have very similar songwriting styles. And I think, together they could write some really, really cool songs.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of other great songwriters. Oh, James Michael from 6 a.m., fantastic songwriter. He wrote essentially a lot of Meatloaf songs on his later albums.
Yep.
So they could really do some great songwriting together, and it's always good to get some fresh blood in the mix, essentially.
That's what I think the band needs. It needs something fresh, and you got to revitalize the band and find new, I don't know everything about production, but I just know we need someone new. Yeah, I think to kind of revitalize this next album. But
Rick, maybe that would be good. Rick Rubin's made so many great records.
So I wonder, like you said a little bit ago, it wouldn't make sense to release a box set and then later on an album in the same. I mean, they could potentially get away with it, with it being successful. But
if there's 50 new songs plus another 12, that's 62, maybe 65 new songs in 1 year. That is way too much to digest. Way too much.
I wouldn't say that because, this box set is, let's be honest here, the majority of people who are going to look into this box, which we'll talk about the box set here in a little bit, but the majority of people who are going to buy this box set are going to be the diehard fans who want as much as they'll give. You may get a few, but you're not going to get a lot of the general public digging into this box set,
Yeah, well, there's also going to be people that just find it on Spotify or Apple Music because it's going to be released to every single DSP, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So let's hold. I want to wait to talk about that because that brings me to another point, but that's going to get me to dig deep in the box set. You know what? Let's just get into it. Why not?
You're the boss.
And that's one thing too that I wonder. You brought up a good point about Apple and Spotify. When the 2004 box set came out in 2004, it was just all physical media. So next year, and John hasn't elaborated on this too much, and I would assume they would do something physical, obviously, because the diehards like you and me want that physical thing. But it's also going to go online now, so you wonder how well it'll get streamed and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be a couple of promo singles released, kind of like maybe what the Radio Saved My Life was. I'm not sure how they're going to promote it, but I'm willing to bet that it's going to be, there's some people who are going to be like, oh, well, Bon Jovi put out new music. There's going to be some advertising. There's going to be definitely some ad pushes, some campaigns rather, some ad campaigns. People are going to be like, oh, why not, right? I'll check it out. And who knows, we might get a couple of new fans from that as well.
Yeah. So let me ask you here. So and I've pondered this a lot.
Okay.
For this kind of brings me to another point from online streaming versus physical media, which we know physical media is become a thing of the past. If they were, a big keyword is if they were to sell this box as a physical box set collection, how would they entice people to want to buy it? So like the majority of people that are going to want to buy this are going to be the diehards, and we know it's going to be a pretty penny with what they could potentially put on this. So let me ask you, what would you want on this box set for you to buy it?
I'm gonna buy it regardless. Let me preface it by saying that I have to have a physical copy of every single Bon Jovi album. I don't need every single version. I just need one.
Is that a hit towards me?
Yeah.
You know
Just
me,
a
I
little
have
one.
to have
It's like
every
a
version.
little, just a little play spanking in the bedroom. You know what I mean? That's the kind of hitting we're talking about.
Um,
Um, but yeah, like I'm gonna buy it regardless. But I definitely want some Blu-ray concerts in it because they record every single concert. So I would, in my perfect world, I would love for the fans to be able to choose one concert from each tour and throw it on there. The whole entire performance. No cuts, none of that. Like some stuff from the Bounce tour, something that's not on YouTube from the Circle tour or the Live 2011 tour. Just like some really good performances, maybe a collection of deep cuts that have been performed live throughout the years. Um, yeah, just I'd want like definitely like a couple of Blu-rays thrown in there. What about you?
well, so the collector and me, so we know that they've been going through the archives the last 2, 3 years since the pandemic started for the JBJ experience and this box set they've been working on the last 2 years. So they've definitely found a lot of um, concert audio, hopefully footage. Photos have never been out there. So the only downfall that I've seen though from these, is that they post on the JBJ experience videos that are on YouTube, audio that's already on YouTube. We've heard the MetLife shows, we've heard a bunch of these shows. There's been a few rare ones, but they're all on YouTube
Mm.
basically. So what I would love is I want something massive. And what they could do is maybe anchor three different types of editions. You have your basic edition, your deluxe edition, and you have your super deluxe, which is what I'd go after. And with the super deluxe, what I'd like to see is just I mean, I'm talking a massive, and I'd buy it, massive box set. Big, what's like a tour case or
Like the
whatever.
Gene Simmons vault.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, something like that. And it's funny you mentioned Gene Simmons because I was going to mention something like what they did with Kiss. With Kiss was the Kissology sets, where they had a '70s box set, an '80s box set, '90s, and so on, and each box set had like rare concert footage, rare audio, interviews from that era, music videos from that era, and the only kind of concerts that I can see being put on this box set is probably remastering all of the home videos that they have done.
100%.
It's not going to
I mean
be
that's
any
so
kind of random concert. It's going to be live at Madison Square Garden 2008, When We Were Beautiful. Maybe all the '80s. The Breakout, the Slippery, the New Jersey, the Keep the Faith, Evening with, Crossroad.
Well, anything that's going to be going on a Blu-ray or a DVD has to be quote unquote remastered. The audio has to be done.
Absolutely.
That's going to happen regardless. The remastering process is going to happen whether they put in Madison Square Garden or the Crush tour on Blu-ray. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about stuff that they haven't done. Like for example, like a pro shot live from Giant Stadium 1988 or 89. I forget what year this was in. So a
Giant.
show like
Yeah.
Giant Stadium on the New Jersey tour. That would be a cool show. Maybe something from the Keep the Faith tour. Maybe
Yeah.
a show from the These Days tour. Oh, like a Yokohama, the Yokohama on Blu-ray. I think that would be awesome. That was a good concert.
Yeah.
Um,
Even do, sorry to interrupt you, even do an audio a concert, like an audio CD of all these concerts, because I have them in my archives, but the general fan doesn't. Live from London, live at Madison Square Garden, the Crush Tour. I have them all on CD, remastered.
just at this point, just like give us a DVD or a Blu-ray. I mean, at this point, it's just semantics, right? But like, I feel like you can find a lot of this stuff on YouTube. Like I think the key idea I think that we can both agree on here is that don't give us something that I can look up on YouTube right now.
Right?
Give us something that no one has seen before.
Yeah, and we may get a little bit of that, but I do see a lot of repetitiveness coming in this box as far as giving us these home videos. But next thing too is what kind of outtakes are you going to give us? And I think John said in the JVJ Experience Q&A a few weeks ago that they found 50 songs, I think, somewhere around there that they were planning on putting out. So I don't see them putting out the same songs that they put on the 2004 box set. If they did maybe demos of those songs, I don't know. But
No.
I think it'd be a waste of space to put stuff that you had on the 2004 box set onto this one, especially because I want to hear more stuff from Have a Nice Day up until 2020.
Exactly. Yes, definitely.
I also hear demos and stuff because I love listening to the demo and then listening to the final cut of the song.
What demo would you want to hear the most of? I mean, what demo would you want to hear the most?
That's a good question. Probably, I'd probably say my favorite song, You Want to Make a Memory. How about you?
Well, I know the demo of Have a Nice Day is out there somewhere on the internet. I know that.
Yeah. From the
definitely has leaked. Same with I Want to Be Loved. A lot of the Have a Nice Day stuff was leaked. And that's the thing too. There's been a lot of leaks, like what's that one? I Ain't Done Yet, for example. Great song. And it just recently you heard that one, right?
Yeah, but that's been leaked for a year. I mean, since 2016, I believe. It's been on YouTube, it's been taken off, put on, took off. That's not anything. That's a good song though. I think that should definitely be put on.
For me, like I'd like a good remastered audio of that song, not like some shitty YouTube mix.
Yeah. I'd like because my absolute favorite outtake is Nothing from Have a Nice Day. I'd love that to get remastered and put on. But there's so much potential for this box set, especially for the diehards. And I really, really hope that the Bon Jovi team and the band is really sitting there thinking, let's make this an amazing box set for the diehard fans, because the diehard fans are going to be the one who buys this. So like I said, if it's something like you joked in the Gene Simmons vault, which isn't like it's like this giant thing and stuff, and then you open it, has like book, it has stuff signed by him, and that's what I want. Obviously I want it signed, and I want just something massive. You put in some books and some signatures of stuff, and I don't know. I think they just make something massive and sell it for a good profit, and fans would buy it.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Like you could do you could do it like the Gene Simmons way, but not as obnoxious. It's like, for $50,000, Gene will come to your house and deliver the ball.
Yeah. And then the next thing, which we'll get into our next segue here, is the 40-year anniversary. It's no secret now because John mentioned it last week, but we've heard it. Doc McGee was talking about it a few weeks ago, and we've seen different production posts online about this documentary. So the documentary is no secret anymore.
Yeah, but what production posts?
I just saw a couple posts online, that they were doing something with the anniversary, the documentary.
Oh, got it.
And because it said hashtag Bon Jovi documentary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know who posted it, but they, pretty much leaking it. But from what I've seen and heard, it's going to be like a 4-part, 3 or 4 part documentary, and it also features, from what I've heard, interviews with each band member. So my question is, they've if they've been working on this for a while, I wonder if Alec will be featured on this, or I'm sure there'll be some kind of memorial tribute for him at least, if anything.
100%. I mean, I would love for it. I would love for everybody to be featured. Anyone that ever had a part in the band or had any, like, and everyone from Tim Pierce who did the solo to Runaway.
Yeah.
Richie didn't play on it. It was Tim Pierce.
Yeah.
And
Well, the whole band didn't plan Runaway. It was just John
yeah.
and his band before.
Everyone from Tim Pierce to Phil X and Matt O'Ree. I want everybody to be featured on it.
Yeah, because you're celebrating 40 years here, so it'd be kind of a waste of time if you just exclude, really important people. And obviously, they got to include Richie. They got to, if they didn't get an interview with Alec in this, then at least do a special section, like a memorial for him. Maybe they'll even dedicate the documentary to him. That could be a potential. That'd be smart to do, I think. But what I wanted to say about this documentary too is it'd be nice if they, put this on like a Blu-ray set and put it with the box set, because I wonder when they're going to start announcing all these 40th anniversary plans, like the documentary and the potential box set. I would assume we're going to get that announcement maybe the beginning of the year,
Yeah, maybe January or February. Because I think John might have said that it's going to come out in the first quarter of 2023.
Yeah, and it makes sense to do it like having this as a 4-part documentary. So you wonder if this is going to air on TV or if it's going to go maybe, because now you go on Hulu and all these different streaming platforms, and they do 1 episode a week. So maybe they're going to be licensed with one of these streaming companies to kind of do 1 episode a week, and maybe it'll just be like per decade. If it's a 4-part, so one is the 80s, one is the 90s, and 2000s, 2010s.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, technically we're in our 5th decade of the band, but that doesn't really. They could probably do 2010 to 2020 because that's really the bookmark of the band. So, and you kind of wonder too. So we've gotten 2 documentaries before: Access All Areas, back when they followed the band on the New Jersey tour, and then When We Were Beautiful, which followed the band on the Lost Highway tour. Which I don't think When We Were Beautiful was that in depth. I love that documentary, but I thought there was a lot that they could have really added to that. Like at that time they were celebrating 25 years, and I just felt like there was a lot held back and a lot of potential for it was kind of thrown to the wayside. It was nice that we got a book that coincided with it, but it was more of a celebration than it was of a way of it. They didn't really elaborate the last 25 years. You know what I'm saying? So I really want this 40-year documentary to be a really in-depth look of the band. From interviews to never before seen stuff to, our stuff that's in their archives.
Yeah, something like that. Something like a great example of that, I think, would be like the new Kiss documentary that just came out.
Yes, I think that one, right?
Yeah, Annie. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think if they partnered with them, that could be really good. That could be something good.
Yeah, absolutely. And A&E partnered up with them a lot during the Lost Highway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they did. A&D did the Lost Highway, the concert home video, the DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, what's that?
I need to buy that. I still haven't bought that one yet.
And that's an amazing concert. So we'll see. We'll see what comes from the documentary. Hopefully, we get an announcement soon. I don't know. I really want something that's in depth. And a future documentary too would be. I'd love to see. Like this is me kind of getting a little too far-fetched now, but this is just like a personal wish. Last tour that we ever get from the band, I'd love for them to follow the kind of like what they did with Access All Airs, following the band from beginning to end, essentially. You know, but that's a conversation for another
Yeah,
time.
that would be awesome. I feel like, yeah, there's so many things they could do with that final tour, if you will.
Yeah. That's a topic for another
Let's hope
time.
it's like years until we get to that point.
Mm-hmm. And then the last topic is the big one, the possible tour. So this has definitely been a whirlwind. You know, we're getting told things on this end, we're getting told things on this end. So there was I think it was on the band's TikTok or something, and it said, "You see, you know, at the end of the April tour of this year, they said, see you next year." So that was like the start of rumors that we were going to get a tour next year in 2023. And then David Bryan did an interview, I think it was over the summer, and he talked about that they were planning on a big world tour and they were working on the dates. And I forget which podcast that was, but he did say that. And then all of a sudden, John said a couple weeks ago in the experience chat that there was going to be no tour, maybe at the end of next year, because they had other big things happening. Which reminds me, I want to talk about the museum. I can't say that word because John had brought that up too about having something physical to see. So let me back up before we get into the tour even more. He also said that and he said this on the Runaway trip back in June 2021 too. And he said that there was going to be something physical for fans to go and see, like kind of like a brick and mortar place, you know, seeing, because they found stuff like John's guitars and John's outfits and, you know, stuff that we haven't even seen yet from these VIPs that we've done and the cruises and stuff. And fans have a place to go see this stuff for a while. So I'm wondering, it makes sense to do it in New Jersey in the summertime, you know? So I
Maybe
wonder, what's that?
maybe Asbury Park. They could do it there.
Yeah, or Sayreville, you know, I don't know. We'll see, but I wanted to bring that up too because that's something new that might come next year. But that brings me to my point of other big things are happening next year that John couldn't elaborate on. And so I'm thinking, you know, just with the potential of the box set release and this brick and mortar museum, the documentary, you know, so I wonder if maybe they just want to wait until the end of 23, 24 to really kind of start a tour, maybe with the help with the new album. Um, I don't want to elaborate it too much, but I also wonder if it could be due to um, John's vocals. You know, I don't think it's a secret. You can definitely tell he's had surgery.
Hmm.
You know, so I wonder if that's kind of pushed him to change his plans for next year, you know, as far as touring so quickly. Um, because if you look, we haven't had any runaway trips. He hasn't done any private events, whether it was with the band or with Kings of Suburbia since May. And obviously you can tell he's had the surgery since then. So I wonder if that's and I completely understand and respect that. I wonder if that's why things kind of changed for next year from when David had said that on that podcast to now.
Well, there's other stuff too to consider. I mean, that's definitely a big factor.
Yeah.
You know, I'm no doctor by any means, any stretch of the imagination. Um, but at the end of the day, too, there's also might be supply chain issues where it's actually, you know, I've read articles where it's much harder for bands to go out on the road now, because the cost of stuff has gone up. I read this whole article explaining the economics of touring. Maybe they're just hoping to wait it out a bit. because literally everybody wants to tour now, because we've had, ever since the pandemic ended, we have so many bands that just want to get out and tour, and there may be a lack of resources available. There also might be, and because there's a lack of resources available, the cost of those resources is much higher. And on top of that, it's like, okay, if I just got vocal surgery, maybe I'd want some more time just to, break the voice in, if you will. And I'm sure I'm not using the right medically correct terms, but go along, please. But go at the end of the day, this will give John more time to work on his voice. And for the record, I never had any issues with it. I went to 10 shows on this previous tour, and I had a blast. I had a great time. I was one of those keyboard jockeys that do not live in America. Let's just leave it at that. I wasn't one of those keyboard jockeys that just talked shit the entire time. I was there to enjoy the show. And was it perfect? Absolutely not. But I don't want perfection. I want to go see my favorite band, sing along, and have a great time.
Exactly, and that's where I stand. John will always be my favorite singer, and I've said this many, many, many times now. And as you get older, your voice changes, whether it's through talking or through singing. Every other singer has the same. Even Taylor Swift, who's like the biggest star right now, she has vocal issues when she's touring. Every person has that. John has obviously been doing this for over 40, 50 years now, singing. It's going to put a wear on your voice. And like you said, I love being able to go see my favorite band still with my friends, enjoying to see these songs live. I'm not one of those people that has to critique them. Obviously there was a problem with his vocals. Do I care though? As a fan standpoint, no. I enjoyed the show, and I still thought he sounded great. As a person to care, yes, I absolutely care, and there is a concern there, and I think he's definitely been working on that. Mm-hmm. And if it is true he did get the vocal surgery, I think maybe that'll help him to prepare, because you have to admit that when this 40th anniversary tour does happen, this is a big tour. This isn't just a 2018 supporting This House Is Not For Sale tour. This isn't April 2022 tour, which is a small tour. This is a 40th anniversary tour. You're going to get a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, 40 years already. They're going to want to go see that tour. So it's got to go off with a bang. And John's a perfectionist. So John's going to want to be on tip-top form and shape to do this tour, because it's not going to be an April 2022 tour, which is 15 dates. I bet you it'll be the end of 23 and all of 24 doing a world tour. That's
maybe even 25.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that kind of leads up, we're talking about a big bang here. This also comes into our next step, and this is the big one.
This one you've all been waiting for, guys.
Richie coming back. Now, all hypothetics here, because we don't know what's going to happen. There has been a lot of rumors in the last few months about Richie coming back, and I can see if the Bon Jovi camp wants to keep it tight under wraps, because maybe it may not happen, maybe it is happening. Maybe they're in the negotiation stage. Who knows? But Tico, a few different fans have put, and Tico has always been, God love him, Tico has always been the one to kind of leak stuff out there before it's supposed to be out there. He's done that for years now. And a few different fans have come forward and said Tico told him that Richie was coming back for the tour. Not for an album, but for a tour. And then Richie, I haven't seen video footage of this yet, though. So I don't know how true this is, but the whole Glastonbury thing. There's just articles about it. And obviously because the headline says Richie returning, every news outlet wants to report it, but there's actually no video of it from what I have seen. And but I'm not saying it's not true, but how true is it, But I believe it. I really do, because I think to do this 40th anniversary, you've got to make it to where people really want to buy this. Obviously, fans like you and me, the diehards, we're going to go regardless. But with the 40th anniversary, you got to go off with a bang. Richie returning would just blow ticket sales through the roof. Seeing the band together again. And I'll give you a second here. I know I'm talking a lot here. I just got
it's your podcast.
With Alec passing away over the summer, I wonder if that's kind of opened doors to think, okay, you know what? I think we need to come back as a band together, the original lineup, and celebrate the 40 years together, So I think it would really help ticket sales. Not the April tour didn't really do bad in ticket sales, though. It didn't do as good as it has in past tours, but it also did pretty good. But I think, with Richie coming back, if he comes back, I think it would be one of the top tours of the year, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, for starters, I predicted this, and we've had many phone conversations where I'm like, for 40 years, I think they'll bring back Richie. I've been saying that since 2020, 2021. So if that happens, then I was right. My prediction has been correct.
Yeah.
So obviously, look, I've seen Bon Jovi 31 times, and I've seen Richie with the band twice. So for me, Bon Jovi is, when I think of Bon Jovi, I see Phil X as much of an equal contributor as Richie. That's, for a while it has been, Richie who at this point. That's been my mentality. Because, I think the way Richie left the 2013 tour wasn't good. Let's leave it at that. He left so many fans up in the air, and because I remember, like wondering what the hell's going on. Why was there a fight in the band? And there were so many of these bullshit stories going around in the trades. Oh, Richie was fired from Bon Jovi because he wanted more money. Richie Sambora was fired because of X stupid reason. I have no idea what happened. But he kept the fans in the dark for a very, very, very long time.
Let the band under the bus.
Oh yeah, and that was pretty. Again, we don't know the full story. And that's the thing I really will commend Bon Jovi on, is they keep their shit private. When so many other bands, go through their feuds publicly, like Journey right now, they're bickering over stupid stuff, and they're going on their 50th anniversary tour, and the main keyboard player, it's just two main guys, Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain. Jonathan Cain might not even be doing the tour now. So what are they gonna? It's gonna be, that tour is gonna be a total shit show, right?
Yeah.
Then you have where else? Where was they going with this? So then you had Guns N' Roses too, very public breakup, right? And then they got back together. But yeah, I would love to see a reunion with Richie. Richie, there's no doubt. I've seen videos. I actually just watched my first Bon Jovi concert that I ever went to. It premiered on YouTube. I think Hand 90 bought a bootleg for it and premiered it. And just seeing the chemistry between John and Richie together, that is something else. Mm-hmm. And I think, they definitely have to keep Phil X. Phil X needs to stay in the picture, because I think Richie and Phil could really play off each other.
I agree. That's my next thing I wanted to talk about too, is if Richie was to come back, Phil has been such an integral part of the band. I think he's really revitalized the band when the band needed it. And to bring Richie back, because we're celebrating 40 years here. Okay, Richie has been with the band for only 30. Phil's been there for 10 now. So you really kind of kicking away the last 10 years if you don't bring Phil. And there's no doubt they would absolutely bring Phil on the next leg, on the next tour. The question is, though, Shanks. Me personally, I don't think we need Shanks on stage. There's no sense of having 3 guitar players on tour.
I mean, Shanks also has done a lot for
but
the band.
But more on the production side of things. Not every band brings their producer on tour. And I have nothing. I love Shanks. I think he's a great producer, great guitar player, great person overall. Great. Me as a Bon Jovi fan, though, I don't think we need Shanks on stage on this next tour. I think it'd be great to kind of see Richie and Phil play guitar on this next tour if Richie is back.
100%. I don't know. Like, I don't want Phil to be done dirty. Like, when I'll use a different band as an example, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They tossed their old guitar player. It's a similar situation. John Frusciante was in the band for maybe 20 years, and then they did another 10 or 15 years with a different guitar player. Literally threw him to the curb. You're glitching, by the way.
Oh,
now you're better. Now you're back. So they kicked him to the curb, and I think I could have sworn I read an interview that Flea said, when Josh Klinghoffer was in the band with us, I thought we sounded like a cover band. Just a total spit in the face to the two.
Yeah.
Really, one record was okay. The second one was amazing that they did with Josh. It's called The Getaway. Fantastic record.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like that situation.
I think John is way too loyal for that to happen. And honestly, Phil X has earned his spot. And John is way too loyal to ever treat anyone like that. So I really do. And plus, I hate to say it, as much as I love Richie, and I'm really excited for him to come back, if he does come back, remember reliability here. 2000, even going back to Lost Highway when he had to go into. Richie has definitely. You can tell Richie's like today he's in London right now doing a performance. You can definitely tell his singing, his guitar playing, his whole personality has improved tremendously in years. For the last 10 years, we have seen a really, I hate to say it, a messy Richie. Where you could tell he was on something or something was going on. He's definitely cleaned up, but that's not to say what's his reliability, because you look back in 2013, he left abruptly, and whatever reason doesn't need to be discussed on here. He left abruptly. So if that was to happen on this next tour, and there's no other guitar player on hand, what are you going to do? At least if Richie says, you know what, I'm done. Phil could at least pick up all the missing, because Phil knows all those songs. At least the majority of the set list that the band does every night. So, and that's another thing too, is the general public, the general fan base will just eat up Richie coming back. Some of the diehards are going to have a tough time with that, because I was affected by it. You were affected by it. Other diehard fans were affected by it, with Richie just leaving abruptly, letting the media just Richie let the media just throw the band under the bus and never came up to clear up any rumors, nothing. He just every interview was always about RSO and this and that. It was never to clear anything up. And so I'm still hurt by it, but in the last 3-4 years, I've learned to forgive Richie. I think
it's not about forgiving Richie. It's not about forgiving Richie or not. Look, I'm still going to go to the shows regardless. I think a lot of people are like that. I don't think people are going to be like, oh, fuck Richie. I mean, I'm not.
Oh, there's definitely going to be that. I've seen it all over social media with diehard fans. Absolutely.
I'm still going to buy the tickets. These same idiots that talk shit on social media are the first to buy tickets. They're going to be like, oh yeah, Richie. They're gonna what's it called? They're grifters, man. They're grifters.
I wouldn't call anyone idiots, whether I like these people or not. We're all fans in different ways. And you know what? The people who were hurt by it, and I'm one of those fans, we're not idiots because we were hurt by Richie's departure and the way that he did it. I think it was unfair how he did it.
I think we're using the wrong verbiage here. I'm not sitting here and crying about Richie leaving the band in 2013. It was more like I can't think of the right word. I don't know if I know it's definitely not her.
I know where you're going with.
It's more like really, dude, like come on. Like it's like look, my life isn't affected whether Richie is in the band or not. I'm happy that they were able to continue with Phil. I'm happy that Phil really earned the fan base. He earned the respect of the fan base. He earned the loyalty and the love from the fan base. And he won the fans over because us Bon Jovi fans are really hard to win over because he had a really tough time with that. Yeah. So regardless of what happens, I hope it's the both of them. And even if Richie doesn't come back, I'm still going to go support them with Shanks and Phil. Because for me, that's what Bon Jovi has been. That's the lineup that I've gotten used to for the last 10 years or so. I'm going to see them.
And that's the thing is people will tweet me and they'll be like, I'm not seeing the band without Reggie. Okay, no one cares.
Don't go.
Don't go because it's clear people still go to see them. And it's a new era, it's a new chapter of the band. I think it's a great chapter. But just to kind of go back on Richie coming back, I think it would be really nice to celebrate 40 years, seeing Richie back with the band, having the 4 original guys out of the 5, and just seeing some of those songs that we loved. Phil X does all these songs justice. He does a great job at doing it. It would just be kind of nice to see Richie coming back to play those songs again. Because I saw a video of him doing Wanted today in London. Man, it was amazing. Absolutely.
I didn't see it yet.
It was good. He did like some kind of weird intro, like him like with like the piano in the background, but then all of a sudden you hear the da 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 da, and then he just started singing Wanted. I was like, damn, he sounds amazing here, guitar wise, vocals.
I'm happy that he's gotten his act together. From a human being perspective, I'm happy that he got his act together.
Yeah,
that he did it for himself mostly.
Yeah, that's the kind of Richie that I want to see. That's the kind of Richie that I want to see on this 40th anniversary tour, if it's true. Because if you remember, I think it was even a year ago when he played in London last year, he was a wreck. Like you couldn't understand what he was saying. I'm like, and there was rumors back then of Richie coming back, and I was like, if you want that Richie to come back, that tour is gonna sink.
Stay the hell away.
Yeah, but the Richie now, I think would be a great addition to the band again. And I really, just to kind of conclude this chat, I really do think 23 and 24 are going to be 2 great years. I'm sure the band is planning stuff that you and I don't even know or can even think about. There's going to be so many surprises coming our way. And I really just, as a fan, from a fan's perspective, I'm just really, really happy to be able to celebrate 40 years. It's gonna be
for sure, and that excites me too, man. I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of each other in the next year, so that's gonna be awesome.
I think it's just great, because you and I both I keep throwing the Die Hard card in there, but it's absolutely true because 40 years, man. And obviously you and I weren't alive for all those 40 years, but I've been a fan for 22 of those 40 years. You've been what, 12 years of the 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
So you still have room to celebrate, and you're also celebrating the band's legacy, and that's the most important thing, is celebrating the band's legacy. And it's going to be great. I really can't wait to see what we're going to get.
Yeah, man, I'm very excited for sure.
Any last words you want to throw in about the 40th anniversary with any hopes?
Don't let me down.
Yeah, I truly think we're going to have a great next 2 years. I really do. And hopefully after the holidays clear out, hopefully we get an announcement of something to look forward to. I bet you the first thing we're going to get is the documentary. I think the documentary and the box set's going to kind of coincide with each other. I really do.
For sure, yeah.
Because
I think I get a single first.
Yeah, I don't know about it. Maybe they'll write a new song that will go into this box set potentially, because you can't just put on a documentary and not have it. You got to have something to support each other. I think with a documentary, that's going to raise media awareness. That's going to bring a lot of attention to the band. So while you're getting all that attention from the documentary, also throw out the box set, because you're kind of in demand kind of thing. If you were just do one at this and then one here, that kind of, from just a general public standpoint, the excitement kind of dies off. So strike when the iron's hot kind of thing. But we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
And anyway, by stay on. I'm going to end the recording, but I want to thank you for coming on and being my last guest for 22. And I know I'm going to have you on again. There's no question. And
Yeah, thank you for having me, buddy. It's always great.
absolutely.
It's always great being on. Always great to see you. All right, see you guys.